All right, thanking and praising God this time for his cleansing. Keep forgetting, Zechariah chapter 5, wings, understanding that it's a prophecy of two visions. Only one of them literally has wings in it, but both visions involve things taking flight. A flying scroll in the first vision and three women in the second vision. Understanding that, let's just take it step by step. Understanding it is again a short chapter. However, it's one that has, again, a lot packed in it. And that always creates the danger for tangents. So hopefully, should probably additionally thank God for focus, praying to him that he helped me focus on the message that'll fit within roughly 5 minutes. With all that though, all that aside though, let's just start. And I'll read verse 1, God willing to help get us focused. Again, I lifted my eyes and saw, and behold, a flying scroll. And he said to me, what do you see? I answered, I see a flying scroll. Its length is 20 cubits and its width is 10 cubits. Then he said to me, this is the curse that goes out over the face of the whole land. And from there, I'll go ahead and summarize, saying that it is a curse on one side against, a curse on one side against those who are stealing in the land, those who are stealing in the land, and a curse on the other side against those who are bearing false witness, concluding roughly around verse 4, that it is going to be a curse on the house of the thief and him who swears falsely by my name, that being the name of the Lord, saying it will remain on their houses and consume them, both timber and stones. Going into the next vision, that of the woman in a basket, where verse 5 will say, then the angel who talked with me came forward and said to me, then the angel who talked with me came forward and said to me, lift your eyes and see what is going out. And it's going to be a basket going out. It's going to be a basket that contains their iniquity. And in it, verse 7, it's going to say, and behold, the leaden cover was lifted, and there was a woman sitting in the basket. And he said, this is wickedness. And he thrust her back into the basket and thrust down the leaden weight on its opening. But I mentioned three women, right? Okay, only two of them are going to be flying because wickedness is stuck in the lead basket. Two other women, however, are going to take wings like wings of a stork and carry her off to the land of Shinar. Not sure I'm pronouncing that correctly, but essentially I looked it up and it's the land associated with Babylon. Once again, connecting us to the Revelation, because of course, pointing backwards, we find, I think in Genesis, that Shinar is the land in which Babylon sprouted up, but pointing forward to the Revelation. Once again, Babylon is described as a great wicked city that once again God will deal with. Either way, Shinar in this chapter is a land in which a house for wickedness is going to be built. My question was, why not just destroy wickedness flat out? But because God's ways are higher than our ways and his thoughts are higher than our thoughts, and because it clearly connects to the Revelation, there is clearly a role that God has even for wickedness before he finishes cleaning everything to his satisfaction. Thus, this chapter that describes two levels of cleaning helps us get insight into what God is doing, not only here in Israel as he is cleansing his people, as he's already introduced us to the branch. He's not only talking about their restoration, but as we mentioned before, it doesn't make any sense to restore a place if you're only going to put it in a condition that leads back to its decline or dilapidation or becoming dirty all over again, And so in this chapter, we are seeing the way in which God's restoration also involves his cleansing, as we have seen before, not only of his people, but of their environment, as he is pulling the thief and the liar and wickedness out of the land in two visions of Zechariah in Zechariah chapter 5. A chapter that insofar as it is rebuking lying, it's not just lying in general, but as we see in verse 4, those who swear falsely by his name, understanding that there's a brand of lying that is more effective when it carries the pretense of godliness, but It simply masks ulterior motives, reminding me of what Jesus described in his own ministry, talking about wolves in sheep's clothing. A symbolism, we'll call it, that reminds me that God in Zechariah chapter 5 is not simply warning his people Israel, but his Christ is going to warn his church that even though using God to promote our own personal interests can produce some pretty significant wins, ultimately, the cost of those wins is way too high. As the old preacher adage goes, there are some things in life that take us further than we want to go. They keep us longer than we want to stay and cost us more than we would ever want to pay. A passage or an illustration that reminds me of Zechariah chapter 5, a chapter where God reminds us of the things that God is completely carrying away from his people on wings.